1 John chapter 4, verses 9 to 12. This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him. This is love, not that we loved God, but that God loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. Dear friends, since God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us, and his love is made complete in us.
It was the year 2004. She was studying physiotherapy. He was studying tourism management. She likes swimming and netball. He likes tennis, and he has a whole house full of tennis trophies. She loves all things Disney. He had no idea who Snow White was. And thinking back to their first impressions of each other, she remembers him standing out in the crowd because he's tall and he's bald. He remembers her, on the other hand, and this is Dennis's words, he remembers her as being quiet, a bit rude, and a bit dumb. It wasn't long after they had first met, and Dennis and Jenny had gone out to watch a movie with some friends. Afterwards, Dennis, being the nice guy that he is, offered to drive Jenny home all the way to Mackerville. The problem though was when they got in the car, they realised that Jenny didn't know the way back home. And Dennis thought to himself, gee, she's a bit dumb. Who doesn't know the way back to their own house? And then to make things worse, when they did finally get back home after a couple of long turns here and there, she got out of the car and went home without even saying thanks. And Dennis was like, this girl's a bit rude, isn't she? So how did two people who started off like that, how did they get together and get to a stage where they decide to commit themselves in marriage on a day like today? What is it that brings these two people together on a day like this? And well, the answer, of course, is that magical word, love. And well, as Jenny was walking down the aisle just now, you could practically see the love hearts floating in the air between the two of them. I don't know if any of you turned around and looked at Dennis's face as he was watching Jenny walk in. He had tears on his face. And as Jenny took his hand, both of them were crying, and from where I was sitting, I could see they were actually sharing tissues. And today is a beautiful day, and Jenny looks stunning there. And Dennis, well, he scrubs up pretty well too, doesn't he? I haven't seen him with hair before. Fantastic, I think. And you know, with all the flowers and decorations and cameras and everything that you would think that today, looking at the two of them, this would be the perfect picture of what love is like, wouldn't you? The thing is, Dennis and Jenny doesn't want us to look at them today for the perfect picture of love. They actually want us to look elsewhere. And they have asked me to speak from this passage of the Bible that they have chosen. And it's there in your order of service if you want to follow along. Let me read the first bit again. This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live with him. This is God's perfect picture of love. That is, he sent his Son Jesus into the world. Now, the thing is, why is that a picture of love? Now, Dennis and Jenny have been dating for a number of years now, and in that time they've gotten to know each other quite well and to know both the good things and the bad things about each other. And so I asked both of them, what were some of the things that they found annoying about the other person? And Dennis told me that he gets annoyed at Jenny because she's often late and he doesn't like waiting. And Jenny said, well, she gets annoyed at Dennis because he's often a backseat driver. And I thought, how typical. But I think I've come up with a simple solution for the two of them, especially as they start on their married life. That's quite simple, eh? Dennis, you do all the driving, and that includes chauffeuring Jenny around to wherever she wants to go, whenever she wants to go. And so that way, Jenny won't be late, and you won't have to do any backseat driving. Quite simple, I think. Now, I mean, we all have some annoying habits, have we? But the thing is, we all have something much worse than just an annoying habit. We've all done something so bad that has hurt God so much and made God so angry. And this is what the Bible calls sin. And basically, sin is when we've told God that God wants you to go away, He wants you to leave me alone, I don't want to have anything to do with you. And God is angry at us because He is deeply hurt by this. Because we've treated Him like this. Now what can we do about that? How can we fix this problem? Now when I got married a couple of years ago, I received some useful marriage tips on what to do when your wife is angry at you. So I thought I'd share them with Dennis today and with the rest of you. There are 3 magic phrases that you could use to diffuse your wife's anger. The first one is, I'm sorry. And it's always good to apologise, of course, but I've found in my short time of being married that you don't just say you're sorry. You need to know why you apologise. You need to know why she's angry at you. Right? When she says, when you apologise, you can't just say, oh, I'm sorry, but I don't know why you're so angry at me. That's just a bad idea. That's a dead sentence. That's the second magic phrase that you could use, is to say, you're right, dear. And you know, so if you did something wrong, Dennis, admit it. If you didn't do something wrong, admit it anyway. And hopefully, after she calms down, she'll kind of work out what really happened. Now, the third magic phrase, though, is one that I think we all know. It's to say, I love you. But to do it in style, you've got to do it with flowers and with teddy bears and chocolates. I mean, especially if you have dark chocolate, because chocolate has, it stimulates the production of endorphins in your body, which is this chemical which makes you happy. And so you give her chocolates, you're going to be happy. But I found one extra tip that I didn't get on my wedding day. Before you try any of these 3 phrases, you better first check that it's not that time of the month. Because if it is, just stay away. Now the thing is, when it comes to God though, and God is angry at us, none of these tips work. Now the problem is so big that it's not something that we can fix by ourselves. And this is where God steps in and He shows us the perfect picture of love. God, the offended party, and He comes in and He takes the initiative and He fixes up the problem by sending His Son Jesus into the world. Now the thing is, how does Jesus come and fix our problem? Well, it tells us there in the passage in the next sentence. It says this is love. Not that we love God, but that He loved us and sent His Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. Now what does that mean, that Jesus was an atoning sacrifice? Well, so far in the dating period, Dennis has made Jenny annoyed a couple of times, not too many, but he hasn't had to use those 3 magic phrases yet, probably because I haven't told him yet. But he had his own secret weapon. He had his iPod. And whenever he gets Jenny upset and she's angry at him, he'll pull out his iPod and he'll play a song. Not a soppy, romantic kind of song, but he plays this song where the chorus goes something like this. It says, "You're so sexy when you're mad." He plays this song. Dennis would sing along. And he was saying to Jenny, "Oh, you're so cute when you're angry. You're so cute." And Jenny just always, like the rest of you, ends up laughing. And that's when Dennis comes in for the final blow. He comes in and gives her a hug, and Jenny says, all of the anger just melts away. Now, what does it take for God's anger to melt away? Well, I can tell you it takes a lot more than a hug and a silly song. In order for God's anger to melt away, He had to send Jesus into the world for him to take upon himself all of our sins, and for him to take our place, to be punished in our place.